Okay guys, let's get to know our words for the week. Our first word is pollen. The bee carries pollen from flower to flower, which helps the seed grow. So as I look around this word for clues that can help me understand what it means, I see it helps the seed grow. So I'm guessing pollen is something that flowers need to help the seeds grow. The actual definition for pollen is tiny like grains made by flowering plants. Store. A boab tree can store or keep lots of water in its trunk. There's our keyword or, telling me that keep is probably a synonym for the word store. So I'm guessing store means keep. Like in this example, the store is keeping water in its trunk. The actual definition, to put away for later, or to keep for later use. Clumps. The flower on some trees grow in clumps or bunches. There's our keyword that we're about to get a synonym clue. So that tells me bunches and clumps are probably synonyms. So clumps mean bunches. Actual definition for you to learn: clumps, groups or bunches of of things, especially plants and dirt. Okay, passages. A leaf has small passages or tubes that allow water to spread all over. So that keyword or helps me understand passages and tubes are synonyms. So I think passages could be tubes that help carry things all over. The actual definition for passages: narrow paths or channels, like the tubes we just talked about. Absorb. A plant's roots absorb water. They soak it up. So here's my clue here, my context clue. Soak it up helps me know that absorb means to soak it up. Okay, absorbs, actual definition, to take in or soak up, just like we saw in our context clues. Throughout. Sap passes throughout a tree. It travels to every part. So when I see to every part there, that makes me think throughout means going to every part. There's my context clues. Throughout in our list, all the way through, or throughout every part, just like we saw in our context clues. Coverings. Different kinds of trees have different coverings or outer layer. Okay, or helps me understand that outer layers is a synonym for coverings. Okay, so coverings would be like the outer layer. And like in the tree here, the outer layer is the bark of the tree. Okay, so coverings, the outside of things, usually serving as protection. So the outer layer, or the outside of things, are the coverings. Spines. Many kinds of cacti are covered in sharp spines. So when I see the word sharp there, and I think of cacti, use a little bit of background knowledge. What do we know about cacti? Looking at the picture, if cacti are covered in sharp spines, I'm guessing that spines are like the little needle type things that grow on cactuses. Spines are sharp, pointy growths on some plants and animals, like the ones we see on cactus. Tropical. Some plants grow in warm, damp, tropical climates near the equator. So when I try to find clues to help me understand tropical, I'm looking before the word actually in this example. When it says they grow in warm, damp climates, that helps me understand tropical means warm and damp. Okay, tropical having to do with warm areas near the equator. And last we have dissolve. If you add salt to water, it will dissolve or mix with the water. Okay, there's my word or. So mix and dissolve must be like synonyms. So dissolve meaning something like mixing in the water. Dissolve in our list says to seem to disappear when mixed with a liquid, like the salt. When it mixes with the water, it would disappear, dissolve. So now you guys are going to complete this vocabulary activity just to get to practice your words, learning the definitions, practice using them in your writing. So here's how it works. On the front page you have your word. Inside the front page you're going to write the definition, okay? So the definition for pollen was tiny yellow grains made by flowering plants. So on definition, that's what I'm going to write. Tiny yellow grains made by flowering plants. Okay, draw a picture. Remember, a picture, there's no right or wrong picture. The picture you draw is the picture that helps you remember the meaning or connect to the meaning of the word. So here's a flower. In the middle here, I'm going to draw those little yellow grains right here in the middle where the seeds of a flower grow. Okay, the pollen are these little yellow grains that are there in the middle of the plant before you see seeds grow, because the flower needs the pollen to grow the seeds. So I may even add a little arrow here to remind me this is the pollen, the tiny yellow grains that are made by flowering plants. Okay, and on the back flap, you're going to use the word in a sentence. So how can I use pollen in a sentence? The bees carry pollen from plant to plant. Now that's probably something you guys have learned in science, that bees, when they land on plants to suck out the nectar, the food they eat, they get those little grains of yellow pollen on their bodies, and when they fly to the next flower, they help spread the pollen around, and that's what helps flowering plants grow new seeds. Okay, so again, you are writing the word's definition in the flap that says definition, drawing a picture to help you remember the meaning of the word, and last but not least, you will use the word in a sentence. Make sure your sentence has correct capitalization, correct punctuation, and go ahead and underline your vocabulary in each sentence, because sometimes we get so wrapped up in trying to write a good sentence we forget to actually use the vocabulary word. So make sure you actually have your vocab word in the sentence, and show me you've done that by either circling it or underlining it. Okay, so you guys need to complete this for the rest of your words.